DanJJing Star League Season 3, Round of 8, Day 2, Group B, however you want to call it. I am your host, Bisudagger, and we are watching Mong versus Last Flash Friend, aka Mong, and Barcode, aka Last. Last is down 2-1 in this series, in this long TVT. It's already been like 2 hours into this cast. This has been absolutely insane. A long matchup for this best of 5. And if Last wins here, it's just going to prolong it even further. Alright, despite all my exhaustion from casting, the first 2 hours of TVT, and it's weird, exhaustion from casting TVT is unlike any other exhaustion. It is just so unlike any of the other matchups when you cast into the late game. But we do have Mong, who's spawned at the top right, Last down at the bottom right. They've got these vertical positions set up from each other. And what is Last going to do? Remember, Mong last game went for a just quirky build. He went for the 2 Wraith build and 2 Port build, and the Wraiths did not do a crazy amount of damage. He had to turtle back onto the island expansion, waited out, and then did a brilliant push to overrun Last and put him in a bad position. Last was really in the winning spot in that previous game, and then it just slipped out of his control. I think sometimes there's a huge advantage to playing in a defensive position in TVT. Because in game number 2, that 40-minute game that we had, I also thought, even though Mong was in the aggressive position and Last was playing defensive, that somehow Last was going to overcome in the final moments and overrun Mong. It just always seems to be that way. Maybe players spend too much of their human resources, their energy, into trying to attack and find the perfect position, that they start making mistakes in the late game, either due to exhaustion or overthinking of how they're actually going to break their opponent. And by failing to break their opponent, they're actually breaking themselves. So that's very important here. We're on Transistor, and we're seeing that the barracks is coming up. Neither player has decided to do what they did in the first game and just throw their barracks across the map. So fast command center was being built up there for Mong. That's really important to see that the command center coming down right away before that barracks. And the command center is now just being built after the barracks for Last. So this is a great way for Mong to just get that cutting edge with the economy in the early game. The refinery's coming up now, as you can see, for both these players. And the scout is going out for Last, who has decided he's going to go for that horizontal scout. And remember, this is a 3-player map, so he is going to be checking at that 9 o'clock position. A fun map indeed, although I'm not sure that every race enjoys Transistor. This is a fun map. On that SCV, it is going to get in here. It is going to expose the position of Mong, but Last already knows that by sending this SCV in the wrong direction. He sees the timing in this command center and knows, okay, I got my command center faster. I do have this economical advantage. Does he try and take advantage of that early in this game, though? Does he try and get aggressive with this early economy? Or does he sit back and just expand and play defensively and turn this into a long game? 2 Marines coming out, and now the barracks is just gonna... It could be lifted and floated across the map. It could be like a slow overlord. Both these players, they really don't need their barracks after the first couple Marines. Those Marines are there to chase out the SCV, the pesky SCV, that is always going to be scouting until it gets killed off. So you can see that Last finally got his SCV up to this top right base. Is he going to get it home? He can bring it home now. The Marines are not going to be able to get this SCV. A nice extra worker. He knows that he has to, Last really has to get this SCV back because he's already behind in economy, but not being able to mine from that command center at that natural base. It'll all kind of even out soon. One battle that goes in favor of Last, and all of a sudden that early economic advantage done. So it's not too crazy. It's not like in PvT. I think in PvT, when you can get away with that really early command center, just go 14cc and it goes unpunished. Yeah, I think you have a really nice advantage in that particular matchup. I think this is going to be just all about getting to mech today. And I don't think that we're going to see wraiths the way we have in some of the other games. And dropship play is really going to be exposed here. You can do a lot of good things with dropship play too. If you can get vultures into the base, maybe the 2 vulture, 1 tank drop can be really nice too. But I think that both players really want to have mobile mech. Isn't that an oxymoron? But it does exist. Mobile mech. So this barracks, it will burn down if it continues to stay on top of that platform. Last is going to chase it away. In fact, I wonder if he would try and hunt it down. It's a very slow barracks. I think he should go for it. The barracks for last could get burned down too. The Marines are going to be focusing on it inside the natural base. So a lot of vultures early on. And if you guys don't remember, one of the Sonic Star Leagues was SAC versus Last in the finals. And SAC won that best of 5 series, and I think it came down to his immaculate vulture control. It is one game he just went vultures, vultures, vultures. Screw it, I'm not even going to get tanks. He just went massive amounts of vultures, and it was ridiculously exciting, fun game. It's kind of hard to understand what's going on in a vulture versus vulture war. I mean, despite the fact that the units have nice large sprites, the cluster fire from those cannons can make it kind of hard to see which vultures are getting weakened the quickest. But you can see the health bars here and SCR. It's a little bit nicer to focus on those vultures in this particular manner. So, you know what? Maybe vulture versus vulture wars in TVT are a little bit easier to focus on these days. Look at those Marines getting hit with the canisters up on the high ground. Isn't that something? Vultures, despite being hover vehicles, cannot go over high terrain. Imagine if they could have an upgrade that allows them to have a little hover boost so they could go up cliffs. That would be the ultimate tier 3 upgrade. Comsat stations coming in here. We can see that the dropship has finished up. Is the dropship going to sneak by? Looks like there's going to be vision over here on the right. The vultures do move. The vultures do move, but there is a single spider mine. It's seen. It's seen. It's definitely seen. That little red dot, it is not going to scrape by, and they're just going to follow along. And if the player knows he's been seen, he knows that that last will be defensive and ready for this. So the vultures in position anyway. Are we going to see it? 2 vultures and 3 vultures. 4 vultures. Okay, it was right under that dropship. So 4 vultures do drop out, attempting to try and win this battle. It looks like he is going to take out the initial defending vultures and try and focus on these SCVs. This is good. It does draw back a significant amount of vultures that were trying to get in an aggressive position for last. Mong, he's going to pull away with his dropship. There were no Marines over there to try and do damage on the dropship, but a Goliath has been finished here too. So Goliath and 2 Marines, I wonder if there was an opportunity where Last could have picked off that dropship, but he's not really on his anti-air game as he's just trying to prevent as many SCVs from dying while trying to gain the field advantage in the upper side of this map. Mong looks like he's well contained within the side of his base, and he's only got that dropship going around the map. This is a lot of vultures. All the vultures trying to get the advantage on the high ground. So 4 tanks here. Yeah, 5 tanks can actually clear up these vultures really quickly. The one thing that they can't do is sweep the minefield right away. They got to get on the high ground. A scan has to come down before Mong can take care of that minefield. Vultures heading over towards the left side. Several small groups for last. As he continues to be mobile, he's going to be dropping down a 3rd command center here too. A nice economic advantage here if last can take it. But Mong is going to jump in there with 3 vultures and take out that SCV. So the mining is going to be, or the building of that command center is going to be cut off at this point. Lots of vultures coming on the high ground. This is exactly what I was talking about in that SAC versus last game. That you could just say screw it to your tanks and just send those vultures in. And with a nice micro, you can take out tanks pretty efficiently here. It does take significantly more shots. It's like 32 shots from a vulture to take out a tank. Just remember that. So, you really need 8 vultures to 4-shot a tank. That is some caster math there. Command center is going to be floating away. It's going to be forcing it back. This is really important. But remember, the command center actually finished. It actually finished for Mong, so he does have that additional base. Whenever he can secure it, he can take the expansion. Meanwhile, Last is unable to build the command center at that 6 o'clock position like he really wants to. As we follow along here, remember, a Vulture is only as fast as the unit in front of it. And if you got a slow, bulky tank, the Vulture is not going to be able to go by. It's just going to sit in that conga line and roll with the flow. The mech expansion of units is going towards the middle for Mong. He's setting up in a good position. He's trying to split the map in a diagonal manner, so that way he can take that back base. It's going to be really important for him. It seems like he is establishing a base at that 12 o'clock position, and the barracks is going to go down. This is nice. It's going to force the barracks to be rebuilt whenever more factories are needed for Last. Last, it looks like he's getting a dual expansion, possibly a command center at the 4 o'clock position on the map too, on top of the 6 o'clock position. And Mong, he has given up that 3 o'clock, so he's just only going to be on 3 bases, but he does have the command center there, and he can commence mining at a 3rd, quicker than his opponent Last. So still the economical advantage throughout this game has been going to Mong over Last. As we look inside the middle of the map, we can see that there's still a strong dominant presence for Mong. And now we can see the SCVs getting transferred over, full mining for Last. It looks like Mong has only recently transferred all his SCVs too. So, slight advantages here, slight. I think that dropships are going to be really the game changers. Only one starport for Mong, as we were able to see there. So a slow trickle in of dropships, but the dropships will come in pretty large numbers eventually, as long as they don't get picked off recklessly by Goliaths. And we did see that there was at least one Goliath built off from Last, and if Last has good positioning, he can prevent these sort of dropship plays from doing any heavy damage. An expansion going to be coming down here on the left side of the map. You can see, like I was talking about, the split diagonal is going to allow him to eventually take that 6 o'clock position. And if you can split diagonally and take the 6 o'clock, then you've taken the other core main base, and you've now become resource rich compared to your opponent. More bases are going to be available to Mong because he has been aggressive in taking the map. What are we looking at here? 6 factories to 5. I bet we're missing one. I bet there's 6 factories for Mong at this point too. Oh, nice little engage here, showing the high ground. Those tanks off the cliff were able to help hit that tank and kill off some of the units for Last. We're seeing here that no upgrades have been invested into the units, the mech units of Mong. Still sitting at 0-0. 3 kills on that tank. 3 dropships coming out, by the way. All things come in threes. Alright, so we're going to see the dropships off to the right. Still a dominating map presence over towards the left side of the map. This is a really good position for Mong to be in. But Last is continuing to expand too. He has officially taken that 4th base. So he's sitting on 4 nice bases, and Mong is sitting on 4 nice bases. Even economies so far, and both players doing really well in their production. Only 10 supply difference here. Oh, he goes for the drop. He's going to hit the main with all these dropships. Remember, there are 3 dropships full. The Wraiths are coming in, and instead of going for dropships, the Wraiths are actually doing a lot of damage here. SCVs, many SCVs I think ended up getting killed. I'm not sure how many Mong pulled, but the units get killed off. I think maybe one dropship managed to make it back home. It looked like a little blip on the mini-map over at the 4 o'clock base, but the Wraiths were huge here. This was game-changing for Mong. To be able to go for Wraiths over the dropships really allowed him to clean that up effectively, because it's really tough to get those tanks that are stuck in those nooks behind the main mineral line. So while Last had a great drop position, it seems like Mong put himself in a great position to defend himself from that attack. Now he's going to be pushing over to take the 6 o'clock location. If he takes the 6, he can also take the 6 natural, which is going to be huge. It's going to take him from 4 to 6 bases. Meanwhile, Last could almost take the 3 o'clock / 2 o'clock base there and put himself up to 5 bases if he wants. But it's not a command center over there. It's spider mines that occupy that 3 o'clock base. We are seeing that the armory is spinning, so the upgrades are going to be invested in at this point. I do love seeing the additional factories that have been added on. What is Last going to do? He's actually spinning over towards the far left, so he's going to have to spread himself out. This is big. Mong doesn't have a lot of army right here. And remember, he's not crazily mobile. With Goliaths here, it's going to make it hard for the race to be effective. And I think that this is going to be very advantageous for Last at this point in the game. Sacrificing the Marines, trying to get them in there, maybe some additional vision for these tanks. A scan comes in, so the tanks of Last are going to have a large vision right now. But neither tanks are within range of each other to be able to see one another. This is not a critical position to hold for Mong. Even though he does want to hold the left side of the map, he doesn't have to defend this base to the death. I think he will be happy to fight here, though, because if there's going to be even trades with units on this high ground, and he can continue to just absorb the damage of Last, then he's still defending himself without having to worry about losing a command center or SCVs. So that battle over at the 9 o'clock position can continue to occur. I'm pretty sure I mixed up 6 and 9 earlier in this cast. Forgive me because I have been casting these games for so long now. I believe that adding 16 minutes into this, yeah, we're well over a 2-hour cast now. And I have been doing this straight despite this going to be on 5 distinct videos. I don't know if there's a 5th game. And I don't know if you guys will know this or pick up on it, but I will just put dummy videos for 4th and 5th games if they're not needed in these best of 5s, because I don't want you guys to be spoiled. So there's always going to be 5 games in my playlist series. Look at that. So this is actually something that spawns when you don't have your main base spawning at that location. Instead, you get these nice crystals that have to get killed off. Completely forgot to point that out. These raids, I don't think they're going to be doing too much damage. I mean, they can poke in here and they can get these SCVs. Actually, this is huge. There's only one turret at that main base. I thought there were going to be more Goliaths back home because of the production facilities of Last, but Mong is actually in a good spot. I wonder if Mong's going to take this game. There's still a long way to go. Last has a ton of army in the middle of the map, but he's pulling back. It seems like he's lost considerable amount of SCVs, but Last has the supply lead still. So remember, he's not that far behind. He's just losing this base. Both players nearly maxed out. 1-1 has been researched. Was that for... Yeah, 1-1 for Last, but +2 attack for Mong, who finds it more valuable to get that +2 damage and +2 times whatever the upgrade actual damage buff is for tanks. It's not just +2, because that would be incredibly weak for tanks. Upgrades are ridiculously advantageous for mech units, by the way. As Mong continues to push down the right side, he is finding weakness against the last army, and he might be able to get this fresh base if he can get up on the high ground too. This is a pivotal point for Last in this game. He needs to hold right here if he wants to stay in this series. Absolutely critical. Another barracks getting chased down, and I don't know why Last keeps putting his barracks up in the air, because he's continuing to have to rebuild them. The unsiege, massive amounts of tanks unsieging all at the same time. Multi-pronged attacks happening. Remember, there's an attack happening at the 3 o'clock position, and now we're having an attack happening at the 7 o'clock position too. As the tanks move forward, they're just moving in here because they can easily kill off these units with the normal unsieged attack. These raids have been absolutely pivotal in this game now too. I thought they were going to be mitigated with dropships and Goliaths just maneuvering themselves around the map, but I feel like Last has been stretched a little bit here and is not able to hold the map as well as people may want to. Fans for Last, they better be getting nervous. Look how much red is spreading around. Meanwhile, oh my gosh. Okay, so here's all those Goliaths that I was talking about earlier. They are going to be moving in. They're going to be taking out this 9 o'clock base, but Mong still has the base advantage, and you can see that he is getting the gas advantage too, up 1,500 in gas, meanwhile almost being maxed out. Last is in a bit of trouble here as he falls behind more and more in supply. He's got to get everything under control. If he can grasp the left side base again, the one that he lost, then he will be fine. But if he cannot take the 7 o'clock back, this is his game to lose. The race coming in here to pick off this command center. The command center can't land because it will take a lot of damage. but the missiles hitting the command center are pretty effective. A lot of SCVs being transferred around. It looks like a command center is finally going to be sent back to that 3 o'clock base so it can start to mine out. Last recognizes this. He does not want an additional base to be procured. And here comes the dropship play. He's going to take out quite a few tanks here. But not great play because Mong is ready to get himself back into position. Oh, 4 tanks on the high ground. How much damage are they going to be able to get done? The vultures come in here and they just hug the metal of these tanks so that way they don't get picked off. And oh, it looks like spider mines do come down. Triple kill from a single spider mine as the vultures do win that battle. Last getting pushed back further. But the supply, hey, the supply lead is actually in Last's favor. So I guess Mong had to expunge a lot of supply here to be able to take that base. But remember, he does have that additional base. I think he's got more factories at this point, too. He can just reproduce it pretty quickly. As you can see, that supply count bumping up to 185 and nearly closing that gap. The tanks on the left side here are just absolutely pivotal. 1 Wraith is not going to be enough. I think Mong would move his position if there were, say, 3 Wraiths, or he would respawn very quickly. But with just 1, he's not even going to sweat it. All right, so that position on the left side, the 6 o'clock. Oh, is there a command center going over there? Or the 9 o'clock, I'm sorry. The 9 o'clock base is going to be getting a command center, and it's going to be landed on. Is this the way that Last comes back into this game? If he gets this base, he may be okay. He's just circumventing all these tanks that are on the low ground. And not only is he getting this base, but he's got all these units for Mong stranded and stuck out on an island to the left side. A pivotal dropship has been brought in here, so the Goliaths could support those tanks because the Wraiths were going to start to add up and do too much damage on those tanks. So wisely by Mong, he was able to bring in those Goliaths so he could do the damage. Oh, what a long TVT we're seeing here. And I was close to retiring. If there's a TVT finals, that's the only time that I'm going to return to cast TVTs. Because this is absolutely just madness. You know what would make things better is if we had nuclear silos. Bring on the nukes! TVT nukes. I don't think I've ever seen a TVT nuke. Unless Boxer did that back in the day. It may be on a Pippus play film. Lots of awesome stuff to discuss in the StarCraft world. But can't do it right now because there's just a massive attack that's going to come in here with the dropship play. Look at those tanks dropping down on this 9 o'clock base. I think it's going to be enough to ward back Last. Last has got to consider whether he wants to hold on to this base or not. He is already lifting at this command center, conceding this position. And is he going to retreat back to the bottom left? You know, if all of this was just so he could take that old base at the left side, that 7 o'clock base, then it's fine. Because he was able to eliminate the tank position. He was able to get Mong to rethink where his tanks needed to be. And in fact, these Wraiths ended up taking out tons and tons of tanks of Mong. So, good job by Last to at least finally clear it out. And now he's got a huge Wraith advantage. I think that we may end up going towards these Wraith wars again. And eventually battle cruisers. Are you guys feeling it? Are you sensing it? A split math battle cruiser battle again? I mean, we did 40 minutes in game number 2. Can we reach 40 minutes again in game number 4? I think game number 3 was 35 minutes also. We're midway through the 3rd quarter of this TVT matchup. More and more starports being laid down. Okay, we can see that this is going to be critical. I wonder if you start the air weapon upgrades right now. I actually am not certain how effective the air weapon upgrades are for battlecruisers against other battlecruisers or even against, let's say, tanks and Goliaths. I would love to do the math on that. In fact, I'm going to make a note now. So lots of dropships still alive for Mong, and I think that he would like to do a lot with his dropships before he has to start switching over to Wraith battlecruiser mode. especially since he has so many Goliaths. Alright, here we have the physics lab is finally completed. So we are going to see this. Oh, you know the scan went down for last if you missed it just a minute ago. It's because he wanted to spot where those dropships were going to move. And he was able to encroach on them super quickly because of that. As scan comes down, and I don't know how, but these players are always able to like hear, sense, and then locate the ComSat scans at any moment in time. Determining it's too risky to keep so many expensive units inside those dropships, Mong lands these units back on the ground, not wanting to get hit by these wraiths. Long range damage. Oh, the scoot forward. I wanted to see what the wraiths were going to do, how many dropships got taken out. These tanks on the high ground are still hitting because of the scans that are coming out from Mong. Last has this really fresh base that he was able to obtain at the bottom left, and then he's now able to take the 9 o'clock position. So it looks like Last, if he can survive here, is going to be the one with the huge economical advantage. It's just a slow chess game sometimes in TVT. And because he's able to take advantage here of these resources, Last is going to eventually put himself in the lead. But look at this. 7,000 minerals exist for Flash. Not for Flash, for Mong, a Flash friend. And he's got 2,000 gas. The gas lead isn't huge, but the mineral lead is. And I would like at some point to see maybe Mong start to build vultures and send them across the map to do some counter SCV harassment. The battle cruisers are on the way. We've reached that stage again, guys, before the 30-minute mark. But it doesn't mean that this game is near over, because that battle cruiser chess movement is so slow and meticulous. Both players unwilling to lose the game by doing an irresponsible battlecruiser battle. Massive dropship play here. Is he going to get all the tanks? Yes, he is. And now he's got the high position. The tanks have to siege very quickly here if he wants to be able to win this battle. Low ground disadvantage for Last, but he does have a lot of tanks that are clumped up. The scan comes out, and I think the high ground position is going to be gained. Oh, that command center. It almost dies off. There is a single Goliath. That single Goliath does get killed. 2 Goliaths are still there that could get in range of this command center to try and take it out. I love this. Because of the giant mineral advantage, always have SCVs with your army so you can just build turrets wherever you are. I think this is really critical. The reason why Mong lost his game and game number 2 is because he didn't have turret walls. He just underutilized the massive amount of minerals that he had. And had he built lots and lots of turrets to defend his corner of the map in game number 4 or 2, he would have won the game. Because Last wouldn't have been able to press the advantage while Mong got his army back. So Mong, he's going to be sitting on the high ground here. He's going to be building up these turrets. It's going to defend the right side. And he's got to eventually turret up the left side too. Battle cruisers are finished. They are ready for attack for Last. And Last has got to start putting them in proper positions to defend his bases. Potentially he can break back and gain the 4 o'clock base once again. I guess the one thing that Last has is the ability to get his, resource-rich base back. Because there's still a considerable amount of minerals, and he cannot underscore how important these minerals are for Last, who does not have a giant bank. But he is going to be mining from the base over on the left side. Shortly, he should be mining from the additional natural base too. So Mong, he's going to gear up here. He wants to engage before battle cruisers are brought into the mix. Absolutely important that he can deal with this before the battle cruisers move in. But we are seeing that battle cruisers are nearby. They're ready to engage in this attack when possible. 181 supply to 195 supply. Mong not sweating the supply difference because he will be able to get it back, whether it's through mech or starport units. Okay, so the battle cruisers are here. I think they're wondering, when is Yamato Cannon going to be used? Is he close to the energy necessary? And is Yamato Cannon researched? I believe it's to what, 200 energy required to use the Yamato Cannon? Something ridiculous like that. Last got a huge amount of battlecruiser supply by killing off his dropships in game number 2. Another interesting thing. Did you see that? A third armory that was brought in just so he could start getting those air weapons earlier in the game. because he knows that's so critical. And now he's killing off some SEVs, just trying to free up the supply. A little bit easier than just trying to attack your own units. Oh my god. Is he going to be able to break this position again? This is a really weak position for Last right now, who's put so much invested in the left side of the map. But these Cloaked Wraiths, the Cloaked Wraiths could do a ton of damage. They've got to avoid the scans. Another scan comes down from Mong, who has a lot in his arsenal right now. Across the 5 or 6 command centers that he has, that's 5 Comsat scans worthy of energy. So we can see here, even though that command center doesn't have too many resources left, it is critical for that Comsat station. It's too bad that you can't lift your command center and still have a running Comsat station. You need like basically a power pack. Is there an upgraded unit, or I'm sorry, a tier 3 building that you can use to attach to your add-ons, so that way they can still continue to work? Those dropships are being sent in. Are they actually filled with units, or are they just sent there to die? Oh, 2 dropships left. 2 dropships left. I wonder if this is just like a massive scout, so that he doesn't have to waste his Comsat stations or scans to be able to see everything that his opponent is doing. But the dropships eventually die off. He's pretty much seen all of Last position through that run-in. So I really like that. That's actually a more efficient way of getting rid of your dropships. This is a lot of battlecruisers. Remember, the Goliaths did not do really well for Mong, so I don't think that Mong is going to try and go back to Goliaths again to deal with this. +1 air weapons already completed. 1-1, so +1 plating is already done for Mong, who has the battlecruisers finally joining in to the fray. He went through all of that gas. He burned through it all, which is very important to identify. But he has a huge amount of gas. I would love to see Mong continue to build turrets to deal with any situation where he may actually lose the battlecruiser battle. You know what? When battlecruisers fight, it's a skirmish. That's probably the proper word that should be used. Oh my god! All of those blasts on top of the battlecruisers, but it looks like the battlecruisers are going to push forward anyway. There is a battlecruiser advantage, it looks like, for Mong. He just doesn't want to push in on top of those turrets. Yamada cannons doing enough to deter Mong while Last. Oh, here come the Yamada cannons, long range here for these battlecruisers. Last might lose this. It is possible. We're 30 minutes into the game. He's going to engage on top of these turrets here, but it's going to allow Yamada cannons to be within range of these battlecruisers. Oh, you can see the ones with energy just trying to fish forward and see if Mong can hit some of these battlecruisers. I saw some more Yamada cannon shots coming off. All the starports blinking rapidly as they try and build more battlecruisers to max out supply. 196 to 164 supply. That's a critical refinery that was just lost. Don't you remember this tiring position? It's the 9 o'clock again, just like in game number 2. And that last gas that can be mined, well, there's technically 2 this time at the 9 o'clock position. And those refineries are going to be so important for either player. I love the positioning here with the tanks on the high ground. It's going to be really near impossible for Last to break it at this point. A single science vessel does come in here too to help out with this army. And EMP absolutely critical at getting rid of those Yamada cannons that do so much damage. Oh, here comes the EMP. Is it going to happen? Oh, he's fishing for it. He's fishing for it. He gets the science vessel of his opponent at least. And the EMP doesn't go off. No. Yeah, it does. It does. Those look pretty low in energy. There was one, I think, that got away from it that looked a little high. I think that Mong is going to do this. This has got to be Mong's game. All the battlecruisers getting taken out here. 132 to 159 supply. What can Last do if all these battlecruisers survive? Somehow he's still going to hold on here. If Last comes back in this game, this will be just a complete upset at this point. I don't see how it's possible. Last has a lot of movement on the right side of the map, though. He's gearing up a lot of units. They're engaging over towards that right side base. So even though we're seeing that there's this attack here, Last was actually doing some damage. Did he actually take out the command center, too? I'm curious. Lots of carnage, though, for the tanks of Last. He's hitting on top of that command center. It's been mined out. So he's just weakening the position, and Mong isn't going to fret it. Meanwhile, Mong is going to be moving in on that last essential command center for Last. He does actually have a lot of resources down at the bottom left too. Like a lot. So that's important. And he's just going to overmine that gas to increase the efficiency as much as possible. So I guess that Last is hoping that he can win the resource game before Mong is able to push across and win with his army. Maybe a base trade scenario. Oh, imagine a base trade scenario this late in the game. TVT, can you get any more crazy? Nearing the 40-minute mark, halfway through the third quarter here, or fourth quarter of this TVT. All right, moving down, the tanks are going to be able to take out this refinery. This super essential base looks like it's finally going to get lost. But Last, he's continuing this base trade scenario as he gives everything up. Well, what's he going to do? What is the response here? There's no way to deal with these battle cruisers. Ultimately, the game is lost because he cannot deal with the battle cruisers. Last has to come up with some solution that does not exist. It's not like mass Valkyries could come out here and do anything effective. He's going to be losing this 6 o'clock base, retreating backwards again. A lot of units are mobile on the map for Last in the middle of the map. What are those units, though? Unless they're all Goliaths, I don't see how Last even has a chance here. Flash Friend, aka Mong. He's up. He's up in this series 2-1. And if he wins one more here, this is his best of 5 victory. He's going to push forward and try. Last is going to try and push forward and break this. It's all spider mines, really. Hard to tell sometimes when you're looking on the minimap. Where are tanks? Alright, so he does break through here. He takes the middle of the map. And the units have retreated from trying to take out the main and natural base. A battle cruiser getting hit on. What is Last doing here? Last is just going straight up to attack and kill off Mong's additional bases on the left side now. He's just moving through and trying to kill as many units as possible before the battle cruisers can do anything. Meanwhile, Mong is saying, that's okay, I'm just going to take the command center up here so I have additional resources at the 9 o'clock position. I don't like this from Mong. He's choosing to not be aggressive, and I would love to see him just try and straight up win this game. He's burned through all his minerals, so there's no more resources left for Mong either. This is it. Both players are done with the resources at this point in the game. Vultures are actually here to try and kill the bottom right side of the map in this base race scenario. The battle cruisers can easily take on the Goliaths, which are not in a great position here. But Mong is continuing to be very, very timid about this situation. So many tanks here, as the tanks just move through and try and kill as much as possible. He's like lighting buildings on fire and then continuing to push. Alright, here's the death stroke, I believe, that's going to be coming from Mong as he does engage here. There's not enough Goliaths. There just simply isn't. 77 supply. He's basically trolling his opponent at this point. The Goliaths are not going to be enough as the battle cruisers push forward here. Yeah, the battle cruisers can move in. GG! Last takes it all. That's going to be the end of game number 4. Mong with the victory. Wow, what a long one. What a long one. Mong wins it in 4. Thank God we don't have to watch a 5th TVT. Guys, thank you for watching the DanJJing Star League. Season 3, Day 2, Mong versus Last. I am your host, Bisudagger, and I will see you on Day 3 very shortly. Those games are already out, so you know the timeline of when this cast actually occurred. But I will see you in the next matchup. Take care.